to a Talk That Talk with Fallon Stokes. I'm your host. We have a special guest today, Eric Henderson, former Georgia Tech standout and current LA Rams defensive line coach. So, Eric, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Fallon. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you been doing?
I'm doing all right. I appreciate being here. I'm just excited to enjoy this weather in LA. You know, it's sunny out here. There's a lot of people dealing with snow. I see you got the hoodie on.
Yeah, I got the hoodie on. It's been cold in the A. I'm in Atlanta, so I put it on. It's a little cold in my house too, but we got about 50-degree weather today. That's better than it was early in the week with the 20s.
Oh my God.
You don't miss that, do you?
At all. I'm good.
Well, let me just start off introducing you. You from the NO, from New Orleans, and you played college football at Georgia Tech. That's when we met. You came in 2001 where you were redshirted, but then had a great college career at Tech. And then once you finished at Tech, transitioned to playing, was signed with the Cincinnati Bengals, did well with them for about 2 or 3 seasons, and then went on to play in the United Football League. And did well there, won a couple of championships. So after you finished your playing career, you made the decision to get into coaching. So that's just a little bit about your background. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into it as we go through the interview. But just talk about, how was it growing up in New Orleans? And when did you have the epiphany that you wanted to be a football player?
Well, growing up in New Orleans, obviously, you hear a lot of different stories in terms of how rough it could be growing up in high school. And, from that standpoint, for me, it was definitely a situation where it was tough. And, sports was the way out, like for a lot of people. And I obviously dove into football and understanding that academics was important. To be able to be the first one in my family to get to college and then end up being the first one to graduate from college. So that was cool. It was definitely an achievement that I am extremely proud about.
Mm-hmm.
It was a tough deal. I grew up with not knowing my dad. My mom passed away when I was 7. She was sick, but she passed away when I was 9 years old. Had cancer, and so there's a part for cancer patients and people that are dealing with any type of cancer from that standpoint. And she was not a survivor of that, but it was also something that I feel motivated me as the oldest of 3. I have a younger brother, younger sister. And, wanting to be that quote unquote mother or father figure that we did not have in our lives, understanding that weight fell on my shoulder. And so how do I take care of them? And that became a decision that I had to make earlier than others, and so I say that because my level of focus had to be different. I understand that my ticket out now was either scholarship or nothing. And so, for me, wanting to do some of the things that a lot of my peers were doing that we, quote unquote, considered fun at the time, I had to restrain from that. And I had to restrain from that without the advice of a older sibling, if you will. And so it was just a lot of weight on my shoulders growing up in New Orleans, understanding what the expectation was for myself and for my family. And in order for me to do that, I wanted to be the first one to go to college. I ended up, taking care of my academics in high school, and was fortunate to have the opportunity, scholarship to Georgia Tech. As you said, that, it's obviously where we met. And, I had a pretty good college career to where I was able to, graduate from college and have the opportunity to spend some time with the Cincinnati Bengals. I did 3 years there when undrafted. Had some injuries in college that kind of contribute to me being undrafted, but I'm excited about everything. The way my life turned out. I'm extremely blessed, Fal, and I'm just looking forward to, what's to come next. I'm just looking forward. I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about, giving back in any way I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about, um, expressing my journey to a lot of people. And I understand how some of the things that I've been through can be of great importance to people that are in similar situations. And so that's a little bit about where we are and how
Yeah.
we got here,
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So just growing up in NO, so you do well in high school, the background about your family dynamic. I remember that when, just talking in college about your mom passing away and you were young. And I remember on campus, you were, big brother. Your little brother would visit you often
Yeah.
and be around. So you were like that father figure to your younger siblings.
Yeah.
But talk about making that transition, coming to Georgia Tech, your first year. I think George O'Leary was still there, Coach O'Leary, when you came, right?
Yeah.
So you get redshirted your first year. Talk about those trials of having to adjust. Like, you were a highly touted recruit. Schools wanted you. You probably had your pick. You choose Georgia Tech and have to sit out that first year. How was that experience?
For me, it was one of those deals where you're all world in a sense in high school, and you think that you're the best at everything. Everybody's telling you how good you are, and it's up until you get to whatever university you decide to go to. For me, it was Georgia Tech. And I thought for sure that as a true freshman, I'd get in and come in and make an impact immediately. And that wasn't the case. When I got there, I realized that, there was so much work that needed to be done. I was not as physically strong as I needed to be. I didn't understand the game as well as I thought I did. I couldn't just freestyle some of the things I did in high school that were probably not within the scheme of the defense, but allowed me to have success. And so understanding those things once you got on the college campus, and truly begin to receive coaching, if you will, was just, it was one of those deals that you embrace. And then you realize that I need to take advantage of this weight room. I need to take advantage of understanding the playbook better. And so now I embraced that. And then I was looking forward to the upcoming season where now it was time for me to take over. And that was kind of my mindset,
Okay. So, we're going to fast forward. You get to like your sophomore season and you have a breakout season. You lead the team in sacks, 24 tackles for loss, and you end up making first team all ACC. So, that's for any collegiate athlete playing in a big conference to make a first team or all conference team is a great accomplishment. Then, you move on, you continue your career at Georgia Tech, do well, and then you transition to the league. So how was it once you transitioned to the NFL? Like you said before, you were undrafted, but you get to you sign with the Cincinnati Bengals. How was that transition? Was it like a lot harder making the jump from college to the NFL and then not being a draft pick, trying to solidify a position on the team?
No question. That part that you just mentioned with regards to not being a draft pick, trying to solidify a position, was the most difficult part, because then you quickly realize how much business plays a part in everything else. It's all fun and games. It's truly about who's better on the collegiate level. Whereas, when I transitioned to the NFL as a player, being an undrafted free agent, having the talent either equal or better than someone that was possibly drafted, before me, and realizing that, the team has invested some financial dollars into this guy. So he's going to be the one that to play, no matter how much you're having success out there on the practice field, no matter how well you're doing. It's sometimes it could not be about that. And, depending on the organization that you're playing for, that could be something that organization holds or stands strong by, and they want to see that the people that they invested in on the field, and and hopefully there's You're not wishing for someone to get injured or anything like that for your opportunity, but you're hoping that all you can do is just take care of the things that you can take care of, keep being the best, continue to get better, make sure that you're not giving any reason to have someone think that you're not ready for that, and instead let them know that they're making a wrong decision by not playing me. It's kind of my mindset, and so I wanted to just break the barrier. I wanted to just be the guy to say, you know what, that was a new level of drive for me. And so, I kind of embraced that as well. So as you can see, like, the more we sitting here talking, and I'm starting to replay some of the things that I thought about, or the approach that I had in those situations. What makes sense is that, I've always found a way to generate a new drive, fella. What is it that's going to fuel me? And it just naturally happened. I didn't really think about it at that time. I just knew I may have been pissed, if you will, and so that was just one of those things that fueled me to try to, outwork everybody. And so,
Got you. So, I mean, you play in the NFL 3 seasons, then you go to the UFL, win a couple of championships, and then you decide to retire. What about 2011?
Yes.
Around that time. So then you go to Georgia Military College and get your first coaching gig. Talk about that. What made you want to get into coaching? Like, was it just it was just a no-brainer? I'm done playing. Let's try coaching, or
right.
What?
Well, at Georgia Tech, I kind of found out, on a collegiate level playing, the game came to me a bit easier than a lot of the guys that I was on the field with. And I didn't necessarily know that. I just thought I was smart. I saw the game. I knew how to react quick. I anticipated. And all of those things and I had confidence. But I also knew that it was because of the preparation that I put in. And so that also transferred to the NFL. And it was, my 3rd season with the Bengals. I'm like, man, I'm just, frustrated because of injuries and so on and so forth. But understanding it, seeing it, it was always comfortable for me. It was never an issue. And I just didn't have my frustration became because I knew what was going on, but I couldn't be out there to give it to everybody. I couldn't be play how talented I was, or I felt like, the impact I could have brought to the organization. And it was due to injuries and things of that nature. And so when I went on to the UFL and had the opportunity to extend my professional career, if you will, it was extremely fun for me. It was the coaches were fun. And it was just one of those deals where I transitioned. I knew that this was what I wanted to do. And I had some great coaches that I kind of picked their brains in terms of how could I make this transition, and got some great feedback, reached out to all of the coaches that were coaches of mine, whether it be at Georgia Tech, whether it be guys that were in the NFL, coaches move around. And so that my network expanded. And as long as I continue to communicate with those people effectively while letting them know my thought process and the things that I wanted to do from a coaching standpoint, when those people were in place to position, to be able to extend a hand to me, I was ready to receive it. And so you just got to position yourself. You got to also do the right things along the way, Phil, because, as this thing is about knowing the right people, but it's also about not wronging people along the way, treating people right. Everybody wants to work with good people. I took pride in trying to be a great person, no matter the circumstances. And I think that's where it paid off for me. I'm extremely excited about it. And all I want to do is just give back that knowledge, that feedback, and, just prepare as many people as I can along the way to get where I am, because it can be done.
Yeah, no, it's all about paying it forward. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because networking is always the key. It's not so much about how much or what you know. It's really about who you know, and doing well while you even were in the presence of those people, being kind. Right. making sure they remember you for some reason. So that's so important.
No.
But with your coaching career, I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like, you were at Georgia College, you were there for a year, then you transitioned to Oklahoma State.
Yep.
Get there. You're a quality control coach. I'm gonna ask you about that in a second. And you're able to work with some highly touted recruits, that was there at the time, who got drafted, and was in the NFL. He was the defensive player of the year for the Big 12 that year coming out. And then after that, you transition, finally get your defensive line coaching job with University of Texas San Antonio.
Yep.
But then next thing you know, you jump to the NFL, and that's like a 4-year swing. Like,
it's crazy.
2016, you're coaching in college, graduate. Then next thing you know, you get your first job, stay there a year, then you're in the NFL. So talk about that transition. That's quick for anybody, especially as a Black coach. You know, you don't see that too often with us.
Man, it's crazy, Phil. That's so awesome. And I just got, the chills just thinking about it because, my career started when I transitioned from the UFL as a player and was fortunate to get the opportunity to go to Georgia Military. I actually went back to Georgia Tech. Paul Johnson was there. Look how weird this is. So I'm talking to Paul Johnson about, possibly becoming a graduate assistant at Georgia Tech. There was nothing open at the time. I was deeply disturbed by that, being that, hey, in my mind, I'm Eric Henderson. Are you kidding me? Like, put me on. Like, and so, and it was one of those deals. I'm like, Coach, what's up, baby? So I needed an opportunity. But Paul Johnson was the guy that introduced me to the head coach at Georgia Military College, Burt Williams. So I would always, respect Coach Johnson for that, and so he introduced me to Burt Williams down at Georgia Military College, got on the phone with Burt. We talked and we hit it off, went down for an interview, killed the interview, accepted the job on the spot. And, it was on and popping from that moment on. The thing that I was excited about at Georgia Military that I learned is that, I learned so much from that experience. It prepared me for what was next that I had no idea about. And so the 6 months that I spent at Georgia Military, I embraced the grind. I was excited about the fact that we had to paint fields and paint the lines on the field. We had to make sure the numbers, I was excited about those things. I was excited about being in the equipment manager. We wore multiple hats. I wasn't just the outside linebackers coach. I wasn't just the safeties coach. I painted. I, was working with equipment. We were actually in the weight room with those guys, 6 a.m, whenever they're working out. We designed the workout plan for these guys. I mean, it was a complete deal. I learned how to recruit. I learned how to get out on the road, go build relationships with the parents of the recruits that you're looking to recruit and things of that nature. And so that experience prepared me for what I was able to do at Oklahoma State. So I had a coach at Oklahoma State, Glenn Spencer, who actually coached at Georgia Tech, and it's funny because Coach Spencer called me and an opportunity was there. He said, hey, I would love for you to come work with my defensive line. Want to recruit some guys from the South. We need some different type of players in here. We got to get, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, Coach, I'm on my way. And so I jumped in, my truck and packed up the U-Haul and made that trip 17 hours to Stillwater, Oklahoma, me and my brother. And so we did that, did not look back. A blessing. I'm thankful for Coach Spencer being in position to give me an opportunity that gave me a platform at Oklahoma State as a graduate assistant to be able to recruit all of the top players in the country, whether it be my position or other positions. And it was on and popping from there. That's when, my personality was out. I was able to, meet all of these different families and I invested myself in those guys. and it worked out for the university. And so we were always, competing nationally from a recruiting standpoint. And it was just the best thing that ever happened. So that platform and having success as a recruiter and a coach at Oklahoma State, people see that in this profession. You don't necessarily have to tell people what you're doing. It's out there. The kids will represent you well. Those high school kids, social is big now. So they're always expressing how important the relationship is with the coaches that at the university that they're communicating with, and so on and so forth. And the word just travels, And so, and what happens was, I had some success trying to taking some from Louisiana, which is where I'm from, specific to New Orleans and the Baton Rouge area. And so now it become Oklahoma State versus LSU in the recruiting battle for the top player in the nation. And when you win those battles, eyebrows are raised. And that happened multiple times with players, in Louisiana, and we had some success. And, what happens, one of the coaches from LSU, Frank Wilson, was the running back coach, assistant head coach, a guy that I also knew from high school, who's a magnificent recruiter, end up getting the job at University of Texas in San Antonio, And so you do a good job competing on a recruiting trail and handling yourself the right way. The rumor gets out there, the type of person that you are. And, he made me his first hire as defensive line coach because he knew the guy that he had to get from not only from a coaching standpoint, but being able to build relationships with student athletes that'll withstand the test of time. And that was what it was that allowed that opportunity for me to get my first room at University of Texas in San Antonio.
No, that's awesome. So just like, you were just talking about your time at OSU, and, when you were there, you worked with a defensive end by the name of Emmanuel Ogbah.
Yes.
Who, that's the player I was talking about, 2015
No
player of the year in the Big 12. So it's kind of like you the D-line whisperer. And I like that you came up or you talked about recruiting, because in college, that's very important. Head coaches are always looking for assistants that know how to recruit, get players, because that's not the job they have to do. They're the face of the team. So talk about like working with him and how that's transitioned now in the NFL. You get hired on, get your first job.
That's right.
Los Angeles Chargers, and then you're working with Joey Bosa, other great
Ingram, no doubt. No, it was awesome. So you mentioned at Emmanuel Ogbah, and we had some other great players at Oklahoma State that may have had opportunities in the NFL. That's probably would have been some good players. It was very unfortunate with injuries and so on and so forth that you don't really know about those guys, or whatever the case may be. But Emmanuel Ogbah was a guy that I had as a freshman. We basically he was there a year before me. He redshirted, and so he was a guy that I saw so much potential in when I got to Oklahoma State, and I just wanted to get it out of him. And Ogbah was a guy that I tell you to this day, I was so hard on him from the standpoint of, man, you got it. When you know. And I was fortunate to have been at the highest level, have played at the highest level, have seen what it looked like, what it takes to get there, and was committed to making an investment in those guys. And he was a guy that I just wanted to pour into, both on and off the field, Fallon. And he done everything I've asked of him. Done everything that I asked. And what happens when you do what I feel like I'm asking you to do, the result should be, a second round pick, first round pick, and enjoy your, and live your life, And so blessed to have Emmanuel Ogbah at Oklahoma State. And then when I went to UTSA, similar situation, but with a guy by the name of Marcus Davenport. And so Marcus was a first-round draft pick, went 14 overall to the New Orleans Saints. All right. Wow. So I recruited Marcus at Oklahoma State. He was a guy that, I got told we couldn't sign this guy because he was too small in high school. He played wide receiver, and ran track. I saw something in that body type, that frame, that athlete. You know, we had Emmanuel Ogbah already. We had guys by the name of Jimmy Bean already. Marcus Davenport being a 6'6", 197-pound defensive end in San Antonio, Texas, and we tell this guy no because he's too small. Well, you know, I couldn't control that situation, but it was a guy that I knew that, you know, one day he would be something. All he needed was to get in on a program on a collegiate level where he can the right nutrition, get with the right strength and conditioning team, and you'll see what happens. So Marcus went on to UTSA. It's funny how that happens. I end up the defensive line coach there. Opportunity to coach a guy that I really wanted to coach, that I invested in from a recruiting standpoint, and was not able to finish the job, if you will. And the Lord positioned me to be able to get that opportunity back. And, you know, it was again like Ogbah, Marcus, man, you know, this is what you need to do. We got to get better. You got to use your hands, man. You got to You got to put on some weight. If you get to 260 pounds, you'll be a first-round draft pick. And Marcus will tell you to this day, he didn't get to 260. He got to 270. And he done everything I asked of him, you know, and, you know, the results was what it was. He ended up 14, you know, going 14 overall. And I was just excited about that. You know, the guy that just, when guys do one, you know, the things that a coach truly invest in them and acts of them, and to see that come to fruition it's awesome. It's a thing of beauty. And so I was able to spend a year at UTA, and then I was fortunate to get the opportunity to become the assistant defensive line coach with the Los Angeles Chargers. And it's weird how that happened. You know, tell me relationships aren't strong, right? So the guy who was the current and still current defensive line coach for the Chargers was a guy by the name of Gift Smith. All right.
Was
Gift
he
Smith? Yes, that's exactly where I'm going with this. So Gift Smith recruited me in high school. Mm-hmm. Right? He was the defensive line coach at Tulane University in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. Was fortunate, you know, to receive the job at Georgia Tech while I was a player my sophomore year. Gift ended up transferring, you know, getting a job at Georgia Tech. I've already had a pre-existing relationship with them, and we just continue to build. And, you know, my career became what it was. Gift stayed there for a while, ended up coaching in the NFL for a while. But again, when I was making the transition as a coach, these are some of the guys that I reached out to not only gather information from, ask what it is that I could do to better myself, you know, get all of the feedback and just let guys know what it was that I was doing. So now when you are having success, those same people are watching from afar. All of those guys were watching what was going on in the recruiting world because it's national news now. Nothing is a secret anymore. Travels, they talk to the same people. You never know who's communicating. And then your name is in a circle that's, you know, that you really want people to take heed to. And, you know, I just didn't stop, Fallon. There was a level of hunger, the same approach that I had as a player with the Cincinnati Bengals, as a player at Georgia Tech. You know, I take that same approach in the coaching world. I feel like I want to be the best in that too. And I'm not afraid to put that out there because I know the preparation that I put in. I know the preparation that others don't put in. And so if you're not putting in that preparation, I'm coming for you. And that's my attitude. It's always been. And I'm not afraid to do that. I want to be the best. So, you know, if you want to be the best, I'm going to show you why I feel that way. And results will, the reason that people may feel the way they feel about it. So,
the results speak for itself. So, like, all right, you with the Chargers for a couple of seasons, then you get the opportunity to go to the LA Rams, so just across town, whatever that, you know, that is. So, you know, what did Coach McVay have to tell you to convince you to come to the Rams, the Chargers?
Well, you know, I was extremely fortunate to have that opportunity. That position came open. I heard that I was going to be one of 5 guys that were going to interview for that job. And so I just wanted to be the first guy to interview for it. Typically, people are like, man, you know, the last one, you leave an impression.
Right.
I feel opposite of. I feel like you may not get a shot if I go first. And that's exactly what happened. I wanted to be the first to interview for that job. I did it. You know, I was excited about it. I prepared like crazy for it. And, you know, when I got in front of Coach McVay, you know, he asked the questions that he asked. He put me on the board, took him through film of games and coached him through some of the technique and things that, you know, I was coaching my guys to do, or how would I coach the guys that they currently have if this particular situation was to occur on the field at that time. You know, right. So those were some of the things that I experienced in the interview. And then it was, okay, so let's go out on the field. Take me through some of the drills that you'll do with your guys to get these guys better. Sure, no problem, coach. Here's what we're going to do right here. Blah, 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 blah. This means that. This is what I'm trying to accomplish here. You know, I did a study back, you know, it was 86% of the time that, you know, defensive linemen are doing some form of redirecting drill. So I wanted to create blah, 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 blah to, you know, get our guys better. And so it was things like that that I think Coach McVay was blown away by, and the presence and, you know, all of those things that you look for when you're looking to hire guys. I was blessed to have at the time. And sure enough, after the interview, he told me he, you know, just wanted to think about it. He knew he had, you know, 4 of the guys that he wanted to talk to. And before I made it back, and he was like, you know, coach, I'm just going to trust my gut feeling right here. I know you're the guy. I don't even want to look at anybody else. If you want this job, it's yours. And I was like, shit.
Like, just alone, like, Coach, you know, Coach McVay, just reading his story, he one of the youngest coaches in the NFL, went to Marist High School in Atlanta. Right. And you like, dang, here's another association between Atlanta, or a connection. Yep. But like, taking that job, you know, they got the best, y'all got the best defensive player in the NFL by hands down, in Aaron Donald. So I know when Coach McVay was looking for a coach to work with him, I think I read an article basically when Aaron Donald was asked about working with you, and was that an intimidation factor? And I think he said that one day y'all were doing drills and you made him repeat the drill. Right. And he appreciated that, because they asked him when they were looking for a coach what he needed. And he said, I need a coach that's willing to coach me and make me better, and not just, you know, settle for the fact that I'm already great, but I'm always trying to get better. So talk about working with Aaron Donald. I mean, you working with the best of the best now, and you incorporated this whole mantra of dog work, which I love it. But how do you get a superstar like him to buy in?
I think it starts, first and foremost, it starts with relationships, Farron. I tell everybody that, you know, when I accepted this job, I wanted to go right in there. I reached out to AD and developing a relationship right now, because I know my mindset is to get everybody better. That's what I want to do. You know, I also want to get the best player in the world better, but I got to get the guys around this guy better as well, because that's also going to make him better. And so understanding that, well, I have to build a relationship with this guy, because getting him better is going to require me coaching the hell out of him, you know, and the way that you do that, he has to be able to trust me. He's got to know that my intentions are strictly to get him better and nothing else. How do you do that? He got to know who I am. So I'm an open book. I'm giving you all of me, dog, from where I was born, raised, how many, you know, siblings I have, whatever it may be. This what it is. And so being able to develop that personal relationship first and foremost, and get that same thing back. And then now I can pour into you, and it's not like I'm talking down to a guy or I'm talking, you know, disrespectfully. So you have no reason to take it that way. You know where my intent is, where my heart is, and what my goal is. We're all in this thing together. Right. And that's strictly what I want from this, you know. And so that was what that was. And from day one, we hit it off. And it's just like, you know, he's a guy that I'll have a everlasting relationship with, you know, and he's the best to ever do it. And it's not even close, but it's because he allowed himself to be coached hard as hell, because that's the only way I know how to do it. Fair. That's the way I played. That's always been my approach to everything I do. Well, it ain't going to stop now, period. And so I'm so thankful that with that opportunity to coach a guy like that and coach him hard, that it made it easier to coach everybody else.
Right.
Because when I told him that the incident that you're thinking about, which happens damn near, you know, all the time now, but, you know, hey, man, that ain't worth the shit. Do that again. You know, he got right back under that thing, went quick and boom, and got it done. And so now everybody's in line and we're able to roll. And
right.
That's where we are right now.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. You know, like, honestly, who were some of your mentors in making this transition, whether it was when you were a player or going into coaching? Who are some of the people, you know, that you can still like call, get advice, or, you know, who are just some of your mentors in this game of life?
What was so awesome about it is some of my mentors were the same people that were in position to hire me, which is so cool. You know, when you talk about Glenn Spencer, you know, being a guy that, you know, when I out to him, had a great relationship with him when he was at Georgia Tech, know his family, you know, his wife passed, you know, God bless the dead, and, you know, all those things. And, you know, Gift Smith, obviously the recruiting relationship, coach me, you know, Frank Wilson, guy that coached me in high school, you know, gave me my line job at UTSA. So all of those people that were mentors or people that had those lasting relationships with have been the guys that were fortunate to be in position to help me along the way. And that's just from a job positioning standpoint.
Right.
You know, and when you talk about just from a position standpoint, my coach, that Jay Hayes, that coached me with the Cincinnati Bengals, is a guy that I still communicate with to this day. When you talk about football, Gift Smith, you know, we talk every day. When you talk about defensive line play, not only did he coach me, but now we're sharing information on how to get our guys better and things of that nature. I mean, it's so awesome. Neither one of us ever want to stop learning and growing in the profession, you know, because I think that's where guys get in trouble. And so, you know, you have to be humble. You got to be willing to continue to grow and expand yourself. And that's where we are with it. And you got to be creative. I feel like there's a level of creativity that comes with getting your guys better. And I think that is something that I take pride in, always looking to find the best thing that can help our guys that makes sense, the best new thing that can help our guys that makes sense. And, you know, not just doing stuff just to do it. You know, it's about being strategic in your development. It's about being intentional, and it's about loving and caring your guys, as well as the task at hand, you know, whatever that may be. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now, and where where we stand. So
now next year, I'm looking for the Super Bowl next year, Icky, man. Super Bowl or bust next year.
It is Super Bowl or bust.
That's the mentality you gotta have if you want to be successful. So I always end the show this way. I always ask people I have on, I call them the triple TQs, the talk that talk questions. So I'm just gonna ask you these 3 questions. You give me the response you have off the top of your head. All right. All right. The first one: what advice would you give to student athletes who want to make the transition from college to the pros?
Be the best at what you are right now. Work your butt off. Understand that everything is being evaluated, and it'll happen for you. Period. It'll happen for you.
Okay. I like that. Long term, where do you hope your coaching journey takes you in the NFL, or even if it's college? I mean, I'm assuming you eventually want to be a head coach, but where do you see yourself in the future?
Yeah, you know, for me, I do. You know, I have goals on potentially, if there's a head coach opportunity that presents itself to me, I'm definitely going to be in position to listen to that. I'm excited about that. But I tell people all the time when I get this question that I just want to be the best defensive line coach is at the moment for the current organization that I'm working for at the moment. Then when you do those things, the next opportunity presents itself, whether that be defensive coordinator, whether that be head coach. And then my mindset and mentality changes. The best defensive coordinator where I'm at the moment, whatever organization that I'm for, and so on and so forth. So I just want to be the best at what I'm doing right now. And then whatever happens from that standpoint, I'm good with it.
Got you. And what is the legacy that you want to leave for future generations?
Work your butt off, stay creative, treat people the right way, and love what you do, because your passion is the key. I'm telling you, I truly believe that.
Oh man, Icky, this was awesome. You've always been a passionate spirit. I had a couple of people you may know, Alex Stewart, Carla Gilson. I talked to them earlier. Yasmina, they all told me to tell you hello. When I told them I was doing this interview today. So this is awesome. I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it too. This is a great thing you got going. I am excited about it. I appreciate you having me on. I would love to come back anytime there's an opportunity. So let's not hesitate to get that done. And, wherever we can be creative and create a different, talking point, whatever it may be, let's do it. I'm excited about it. I appreciate it. And good luck with everything you got going, because that's big time. No doubt.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. And next time I'm in LA, I'm going to give you a call.
For sure. No doubt.
All right, man. Take care. Thanks so much for being on the show. You starting out season 2 for me with a bang. So we're going to plug this one hard, but I appreciate you joining.
Thank you very much, Fallon.
All right. Have a good one. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, later.
All right. Well, that was Eric Henderson, defensive line coach for the LA Rams. I was so happy that I could get him to join the podcast this week. What a great interview. He is an inspiration. You see how he's moved up the ranks so quickly as a young coach. 4 years on the college level, then he makes the jump to the NFL, and he's making a bang as a defensive line coach for the LA Rams right now, coaching the likes the great Aaron Donald. So happy we could have Eric Henderson on the show. But this was another one. We're starting out season 2. So happy to be back. I took a bit of a hiatus, had to focus on some things, regroup, revamp. I think that's always important with anything that you do, and it's no different with this podcast. So I'm going to continue to trend like I did before for season 1, and I'm going to give my Black business shout out. Today, the Black business shout out I'm giving is to a gentleman by the name of Yan Graham. He is a home renovator, owns his own business. The business is called Magna Renovations. Magna Renovations is a business that's ran by Yan, and he does home renovations, all types of work, and does great work in the metro Atlanta area. He'll probably drive to you pretty much anywhere around Atlanta to get the work done. But you can go to his IG page to see the work that he's doing and he's done. I saw some impressive renovations with bathrooms, kitchens, living rooms, anywhere in the home, closets. If you need some floating shelves, anything like that, he will revamp a room. He will change it. I say, like, it's a new year, so why not start with some new home renovations for 2021? We're only in February, moving into March, but this is the trend, and I wanted to give him a shout out as the Black business shout out, because he's doing great work in our community. So we have to applaud the people that are doing so and give them the business, because if we're going to continue to try and build our Black communities, it's by supporting our Black business owners and our Black entrepreneurs. So the Black business shout out this week goes to Yan Graham. His company is Magna Renovations, and you can find him on IG at Magna Reno, which is pretty clever. It's short for Magna Renovations. You get it? And you can find it. It's spelled Magna Reno, Reno. So the @ symbol, MAGNARENO. And that's the Black business shout out for this week. So there we go. Support this brother. He's doing good work in our community. So again, great episode 1 of season 2. So happy I was able to get the podcast going. I can see my blood rushing, getting the energy back, getting it going again. This is another one. Stay tuned for more episodes coming up. We got a good one for episode 2 of season 2, but this is a wrap for the first one. Have a good one. See you next time.